You don't want to miss this podcast. Christina and I are at the Keyspire Summit, the 40th Keyspire Summit here in Toronto at the International Centre. And we're going to be talking to people about what they're most excited to see, and we're going to talk to them about what they think the best opportunities in real estate are today. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Control and Compound. I'm Darren Mitchell, and joining me here at Keyspire, Christina. Christina, how you doing today?
I am so excited to be here today. It feels like we were just talking about it on our podcast, that it was coming up, that we were going to be at Keyspire, and now the day has come. Here we are at the International Centre in Toronto. We have our booth all set up for everybody to come by and chat with us. I'm just super excited, as you can see.
We had so many clients drop by, so many people wanting to learn more drop by, so many friends in the real estate world, and just an incredible experience like we hoped it would be. So far, so good. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and it's only day one, right? So we're going to be here for the next couple days. It's 3 full days jam-packed at the conference. There's a lot of booths and exhibitors here, all kinds of knowledge on real estate. I'm just excited to talk to as many people as I can and learn more while we're here too, right?
All right, so let's dig into it. What are we going to talk about?
So just to start off, I want to ask you, who are you most excited to see at the event this weekend?
Well, I am most excited to see the guy that I'm actually following. And, I've done my fair amount of speaking, but I got to be honest, I've never followed someone to the height and the stature and the popularity of Shaquille O'Neal. So I'm very excited to see Shaquille O'Neal, and I hope he warms the crowd up for me because we got Shaq, then Darren. So it's going to be a fun afternoon tomorrow.
Yeah, that's tomorrow at, you're on that main stage at 4 o'clock, which is exciting. He's on a little bit before you, so I'm excited to see Shaq too.
How about you, Christina? Who are you most excited to see?
Well, I am pretty excited to see you, Darren. I'm super pumped that Control and Compound is here. We've been talking about it. We've been preparing for it. And that's a really big stage. Like, there are thousands of people at this conference, and I'm excited to see you get up there and do the presentation. Yeah, I think they said there were 9,000 people registered. So, we'll see. Sometimes not everyone shows that's registered, and then there's another 15,000. I think on the virtual that are registered. So, so it'll be a pretty big crowd regardless. So, yeah, Christine, I'm looking forward to it. All right, Darren. Well, I think we should jump to it and start finding some of our booth neighbors, having conversations with them, learning more about where they're investing in real estate. So stay tuned, listeners. We are going to be chatting with more individuals around here and sharing our experiences with you.
All right, let's go.
Hey everybody, Christina Wyatt here at the Keyspire Investor Summit. Very excited to be here chatting with fellow booths and exhibitors. I have Michael Ponte here from Savvy Investor to chat with us on the podcast. So thanks for chatting with me, Michael.
It's a pleasure. I've been wanting to get on the Control and Compound podcast. So thank you for the invite. This is great. And to see you here live at the summit, it's awesome.
I know. I was excited too. I went down and I saw your booth there. It's pretty nice setup.
Pretty
you've got
good.
There.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Only a couple hours, but we got it done. It looks great. So for those of you that are coming to the event, make sure you come check it out. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So what brings you to the Keyspire Summit? What are you sharing with the everybody that's attending?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it is really just connecting with other investors. I love this. When you can bring everybody together, literally from a national perspective, talking shop, my favorite thing. And it's like a giant party, to be honest with you. And so at the Savvy Investor booth, really just kind of letting people know that we're here, what we're doing. And, we obviously got a real estate educational platform. And for those that are looking for support and needing some guidance, that's what we're here for. And so for people who are interested in wanting to participate or learn more about this, we're just letting people know that we're here and we're at one of the biggest events of the year. And that's why.
Absolutely. So doing the networking, I know Savvy Investor, for those of our listeners that don't know, we've been on your podcast, probably heard of Savvy Investor, but can you tell them a little bit about what you guys do over there?
Sure. That's fantastic. Yes. And thanks for the opportunity. So Savvy Investor really is, again, it's an educational platform. So people that are looking for knowledge about fundamentals to residential real estate investing, raising capital, multifamily investing. It's a great platform for that. There's a lot of information that's available for all different types of investors in any type of segment in space, be it short-term rentals, long-term rentals, multifamily investing. And what we're trying to do is create a community all together and provide them with tools and support and resources. But the biggest thing is the community. It's a safe place to be able to talk about the goods, the bads, and the uglies of real estate investing. So number one, our real estate platform starts with our Facebook page. So if you are on Facebook. Go check us out on the Savvy Investor Facebook page, but then also go to our website. There's lots of great content and resources, and most importantly is if you are looking for more hand-holding support from an educational perspective, that's there for you too.
Awesome. Like Keyspire really is about education. That's
It
what
is.
we have here. We've got a great lineup on the main stage.
sure.
So who would you say are you looking forward to the most?
Darren Mitchell, without a doubt. No, there's no question
Absolutely.
about it. There's some Shaquille O'Neal guy. I don't know. I might go see him. No, of course, Shaq's going to be the place for sure. Darren's number two for
Right?
sure. Yeah, it's going to be pretty fun.
So one more question that I want to ask. I know out there a lot of people are saying that real estate investing might be with higher interest rates. They're talking volatility and whatnot in real estate investing, although I see a lot of people here. There's a big turnout. But what would you say would be the best place to invest in real estate, starting out investing in real estate in the current environment? Like what's a safe place for people to start and kind of look at?
Yeah, I think in times like this, to be honest with you, and I'm not trying to just promote myself, but education during these types of times is crucial. Like you got to be really careful. There are some markets of volatility, which I agree with. There are some issues. Some markets, this is some of the best years that they've ever had. There's lots of great opportunities there. But honestly, as a real estate investor, and this is really important for everybody to listen, is during times of challenge is actually where the opportunities lie. So with all of this negative news and challenges and people going into foreclosures or bankruptcies or high debt, there's opportunities there. I always use this analogy is knowing what you know today, would you have bought more properties in 2008, 2009 in Las Vegas? My hands and feet would go up significantly, but there was such negativity that was during that time period. But if the smart people were just paying attention, taking that time to learn, they would have realized that, hey, this market will eventually come back. And most importantly, be able to find those great opportunities that you're looking for. We struggled so much, like I look in Toronto, prices over prices over asking price, no conditions. Guess what? That's not the case now. Prices are below market price. Now you've got time to put in conditions and do your proper due diligence. So, when you look at times of volatility, there are opportunities. And just because there's volatility within your own existing market doesn't mean that's being applied in the rest of the nation. Some markets like Alberta, it's literally the hottest market in the country right now in that space. And if you're looking for a segment, multifamily right now, from my perspective, is the hottest segment in the Alberta marketplace, without a doubt. Rents are going up through the roof, and that's rents going through the roof everywhere nationally. And if I look at a market segment, that is probably the segment that I'd put attention to is multifamilies. Rents are up. Prices in some cases are still reasonable. And again, with rents continuing to go up, net operating income's going up, huge opportunity for increasing values.
Love that. And I love that you talk about, the education piece. Investing in you is something that we talk about regularly.
Yep.
So investing in you and preparing for that opportunity,
Absolutely.
because that's when the best deals come, right?
For sure.
In those markets, in those times of trouble. So
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks so much for the advice, Michael, and thanks for jumping on the podcast with
My
me.
pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a great conference.
You too.
All right, now we're joined with Ronnie Fisher, one of my favorite Keyspire people in the entire world. Ronnie, we first met in a cage match. We were doing MMA. No, Ronnie's a former MMA fighter, so I'm not getting to the cage with you. But Ronnie, we're asking people today, where do you see the opportunity for Canadians to invest in the current environment in the real estate world in Canada?
Awesome. Great question, Darren. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And I really see that there's opportunity everywhere. There is opportunity in hidden markets we talk about all the time. There's opportunity in the real estate buy and hold property. A lot of people are coming to us these days that are looking for passive investments, the hands-off approach, and they're looking for developments where they can put their money to work for them, get better returns than they're currently getting if they've got money in the bank, if they've got registered funds, those type of things, but they want it to work for them to get them a better return on investment safely and secured in real estate, but hands off. A lot of people are busy these days. I'm talking to people that are constantly telling me how busy they are, whether it's work, whether it's business, whether it's children. And so they want to invest in real estate. They don't know how, and they want to come to an event like this to learn all of the different strategies. So I'm finding that there's a diverse group of people here, and there's a lot of opportunity no matter where you look. It's just about how you find those opportunities.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. Like the Keyspire Summit, just bringing all of these resources together for, for one individual to take it in and learn. What would you say, why would you tell somebody to join an education platform like Keyspire? Like why would you want to join in and get started?
Well, this event right here is really the one-stop shop. This is where you can leverage Keyspire's relationships. We brought in about 60, 75 exhibitors here this weekend, and It's all about utilizing and saving time. So it's efficiency. You're here to meet people, to connect. A group like Keyspire, we offer educational resources, there's tools, but it's the contacts, it's the relationships that you're cultivating and developing and nurturing along the way, and it's what happens after this 3-day event as well, and the ongoing processes that people have. So this event's got so many components to it. I'm just really excited and really pumped up for everybody to walk away with what they came for. And I always shared, it's about showing up with intentions. What's your intention? Why are you here? And I'm trying to connect the dots for people. I'm trying to bring people together because I recognize that in my own business, it's been all about the relationships.
Well, Ronnie, there's no surprise why Keyspire has been so successful. The education-based and the context. Congrats on a great summit, and we look forward to seeing you next year.
Thanks, Darren. I appreciate it.
Okay, so we're still at the Keyspire Summit, and now I got my good friend Bob Gauvreau from Gauvreau Accounting and Tax Services. Bob, you're an accountant extraordinaire. We got a lot of real estate investors here, and there's a lot of Canadian real estate investors starting to invest in the U.S. market. So what are some of the tax problems people run into that don't know what they're really, if they're not properly structured when they start investing in the U.S.?
Yeah, Darren, you know what? Probably the biggest problem when we get into U.S. investing is having the wrong business structure. So especially if you're Canadian and you're investing in the U.S. investors love LLC structures. They love it. And listen, they're great. Unless you're a Canadian investor who's investing down in the U.S. and your investment comes in through an LLC. The Canadian government doesn't look at it as an entity, as a corporation. It looks at it as an individual, so that in essence, we're paying tax all the way back in Canada twice. Wow. And it's really unfortunate because if we're not getting it structured properly, we're paying double tax up to almost 90% if it's not done properly. So if you're a Canadian investor, make sure that you're talking to a tax advisor, but the right structure for you is going to be to go down south, create a C corporation, where essentially you're going to pay tax on your real estate income after all the good depreciation and everything that the U.S. has. We pay tax as a business down there between 21 and 28%. We flow a dividend back up to Canada. It's tax-free. Essentially, there's a little bit of work to do there, but then it's back into Canada after 21 to 28%, depending on the state. And then we pay dividends out of our Canadian corp. It gets us back to a consistent sort of overtaxed Canadian market, but at a 50% or 55% mark versus a 90%. So that's the biggest mistake Canadian investors make going down to the US.
Wow. Awesome tip, Bob. Thanks so much for dropping by.
Great to be here.
Hey everybody, Christina Wyatt here at the Keyspire Investor Summit. We are having a great time, and I am now joined by Mandy Branham, the JV Queen. We've had her on our podcast before, and I was so excited to run into her here. So welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Glad you're here. Good to see you in real person.
I know, right? We've never met in person before. It was very nice.
But it's familiar. Your voice, your everything. Like you are the same as you show up
on the pod. Well,
You're
I appreciate
authentic.
listening to our podcast.
I know.
That's great.
I know.
And so, can you tell us a little bit why you're at Keyspire today?
So I have actually been a Keyspire member before Keyspire was Keyspire.
Oh, okay.
So if there were to be, I think there may be a few of us in the room, but so almost 10 years ago, 2014, I joined Keyspire as a non-real estate investor, and it began the trajectory change of my life.
All right.
So I think it's kind of come full circle just to come back to be like a gratitude, thank you, to kind of see some great new faces, or see some new faces, but see a lot of the old faces too, to be like, I'm still here. I got my start here. So
oh, that's amazing.
good.
That's
Yeah.
nice. And running into some familiar faces as well. So what are you offering to attendees here? You know, are you sharing your story? Do you've got what is it that brings you here to share? Just kind of make those connections, bring them back, or I know you talk about JVs a lot. Are you here to share some of your knowledge too?
I'm in no means sharing. I'm not in any kind of stage presence. I'm not in any of the breakouts, none of that kind of stuff. So really, I think it just, I've met many of my JVs, AKA Darren.
Yes, yeah.
Is one of my JVs. And so I've seen 3 or 4 other ones. So it's just good to be, in the crowd. Sometimes when you grow a portfolio, your life is so busy and you're removed. It just feels really good to still be here and be a presence. And so I think just, when you see a new person and you can kind of just, shed a little light, I always call it a little bit of Mandy fairy dust.
Okay.
Okay,
I
so
like
I'm just
it.
kind of here, I'd say, to sparkle some Mandy fairy dust.
Okay, and have some great conversations too,
Great
I'm sure, and kind of
conversations.
bring light to the JV side of things as
Yep.
well. So I've got a question that I'm asking everybody today. With the real estate market, the way that it is, some might call it volatile. You know, we've got higher interest rates, things like that. Where would you say would be a safe place for a real estate investor to be investing in this current environment?
So great. Let's just remind ourselves that we are real estate investors. So we're not talking about our primary res. We are sophisticated investors. We look at strategies that utilize leverage. I love the joint venture BRRRR model. So where an investor will find a great asset that you're making money in the buy. You are adding value, so you find strategic renovations too. Maybe you're legalizing a basement, maybe you're just lipstick on a pig, you're adding something that wasn't there before, more bedrooms, increasing the income, and you're doing that with a partner, with a joint venture. So you come together, so somebody else can qualify, somebody can bring the capital, but you're the one doing the work. And there's lots of rural towns, so I invest in Sudbury, Cornwall, Ontario, Sault Ste. Marie, Aurelia, Ontario, Owen Sound, Sarnia. There's lots. So I'm naming these cities because I don't want people to think, well, it's fine for you, Mandy. You did it, years ago. You said current volatile. So there's lots of great cities. And to be clear, my tenant that I just placed yesterday moved from Toronto back to Sudbury, and she is renting one of my top priced 1-bedroom units, and she said it is half the price of my unit in Toronto. So, you go into these slightly rural, which reduces risk, less volatile, and then you're worried about what the tenant profile is, but when you hear stories about this and you know that tenants are migrating, okay, they're moving from Toronto where it's cheaper, then if you build it, they will come, meaning find the rental property at a great price with all the right strategies that Keyspire would teach you. Bring in a partner. If you don't have the capital, you can't qualify. It's a secure investment for both parties. And then, and you know that you have the right, the tenant profile, the buyers, right? I call them customers for your rental property.
Yep.
If your business is a rental property, your customers are your tenants. That's a way to reduce risk, right? Creates
Absolutely.
less volatility. So small BRRRRs, 2 to 4 units in the residential space in a smaller tertiary market, where you can make money in the buy, renovate, refinance.
And it's still working with the interest rates the way that
Still
you've been
working
working.
with
It's not.
them.
This is not new. You've been going through all of the different stages of interest rates.
Make
I would
money
say
in the buy.
Yeah, make it in the buy.
Make it in the buy.
Absolutely.
I'm not a cash flow investor. That's probably a big unique thing that's not oftenly said, okay? I would rather have a property that I make money in the buy, I make money when I refinance, and then I sit on it in a neutral state. I mean, I want it in a cash positive, but I don't want it rolling in the dough because I want to be able to release that equity and go on to the next one and go on to the next one.
Gotcha.
So it's more of a quantity over a high cash flow.
I love that. And I like the idea of joint venture because you've got the investors that want to be active and you've got the investors that want to be passive. You kind of have both sides of it where you can kind of fit into that and find the right properties that work for you.
Yep. And I've gone from being called an active investor to being an operational partner. And I think there's, the difference that I've learned recently is that an active partner needs to be willing to roll up their sleeves and get dirty. And they can't be too high up or too far away that they're like, well, I'm not going to Edmonton to deal with this issue, okay? Property management's messing up, they're dropping the ball, place is vacant, quotes are coming in crazy high for renovations, and an active partner needs to be the one that just gets on the plane and goes, gets in the car and goes. And so, just knowing you're that connected to the operations of the asset is what's going to convert the ones that just want to be active to say they're active. Oh, I have no money, so I'm going to be an active partner. No. You need to be an active operational partner. Somebody who can get shit done.
I love it. That's great advice. That's the perfect way to wrap it up. Get shit done.
Yes.
Thank you, Mandy. I appreciate you joining
This
us on
was
the
awesome.
podcast.
You're great. Love you guys.
Thanks.
Okay, our next guest, I'm excited to talk to you, Steve. Steve Jagger from Addy. Steve, we're going to ask you the same question we've asked everyone. In today's environment, where do you see the opportunities for Canadians to invest in real estate?
Well, I'm a little biased, I think, because I think the ability to diversify investments across many different types of investments is the way to go. Across different asset types, different provinces, different cities, small municipalities, big municipalities, into developments, non-developments, cash flowing, like whatever it is, diversifying across more opportunities, I think, is a good way to go.
And I think that's, when people hear that, they go, I don't have time to do all this, and the fund requires I put a minimum in here, and how am I going to learn about this, and how am I going to keep track of the paperwork? But your company has a solution for all that. Tell us what you guys offer.
Yeah, so Addy's an online investment platform that enables everyone to invest in commercial grade real estate for as little as $1. And so the idea is most investment opportunities have some sort of minimum 25,000, minimum 50,000, sometimes bigger, minimum $1 million. And the reason that is most real estate operators want the least number of investors possible for the biggest checks, because having investors takes time, costs money. Right, the movement of money costs money, signing documents costs money, lawyers have to touch each agreement, or notaries, tax slips cost money. So there's all of these things that cost money, and that's why they want to have the smallest number of investors possible. And what we built with Addy was a platform to automate and eliminate all of those concerns so that you can have 10, 1,000, or 10,000 investors, and it doesn't matter. The platform solves all of the challenges. And so we've done this now. 47 opportunities have come onto the platform in properties across the country, from hotels in Quebec to multifamily buildings across the country, some developments, some cash flowing assets, like we have a Starbucks in Chilliwack, BC. We've got an 11-building business park in Calgary. They're all over the place. We've done our first American property, so Canadians can invest US dollars in a US property. And again, the idea is just to enable people to participate in these opportunities that are generally reserved for wealthy accredited investors. And the platform enables retail and accredited investors to participate.
Just amazing. And just before we went on air, you actually showed me the app, and while we were talking, you invested $50 in one of the projects just to show how simple and easy it was. How long do you think that took you?
Just a couple minutes.
It's
not long. Yeah,
a couple of minutes.
Not
Steve,
long.
This was awesome. I'm excited to learn more. We're going to have you on a full podcast down the road, but check out Addy. Really cool app. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We are back at the Keyspire Investor Summit, and I have another guest here for us to chat with. Jessica Friesen, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
You are with Axiom. How is Keyspire going for you? How's the summit going?
Oh, it's been fantastic. We're meeting lots of new contacts. We've got some of our clients are here already, and so we're just seeing them interact and have a fantastic booth. We're really, really enjoying being here.
Oh, that's awesome. So Axiom is a bit newer, newer out there. Can you explain to everyone what it is that you guys do and what brings you to Keyspire?
For sure. This is our first Keyspire event. So we're newbies in this crowd. We've been together as a group for a number of years, but what we do is we create structures for developers or property managers who are looking to raise money from their investors. And with our structure, it allows them to raise money from their investors using TFSA or RRSP or other registered funds. So it really opens up a whole pool of potential capital for their capital raising.
Yeah, that they might not have had access to before. That's awesome. It's a whole new ball game for a lot of people out there raising capital for their projects and whatnot, right?
Yes,
and being able to use the registered funds. Oh, that's amazing. So I'm asking everyone today, with the real estate market the way that is today's markets, some might say it's volatile, others say that it's amazing, but what would you say would be a great opportunity or a safe opportunity that investors should be looking at in today's market?
Yeah, so what we're seeing with some of our clients who have the mutual fund trust and they've got their projects in a mutual fund trust, or we've got some new groups that are looking to set one up, is an equity, participating in the profit of a project that's the next 3, 4, 5 years. The developers are really taking into account some of the increased costs, some of so their projections are going to take that into effect. So we're really seeing that the long-term projects that are starting now are really going to take away some of the volatility that they're feeling right today.
Okay, starting kind of now, looking long term, kind of investing longer term is what you're seeing is working for a lot of investors.
Or even some of the projects that are mid-swing, if there's cash flow involved, that's always a really great option to look at. And that can also, they're adjusting some of their time frames maybe, but those kinds of things can be taken into account to make the investment still, have great returns.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that advice, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast. And for anybody out there looking for a place to set up a mutual fund trust, I guess Axiom's the place to go.
Yes, yeah, we'd love to have a chat with you to get more into the nitty-gritty of how it works and how it can be beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a whole nother, it's definitely interesting. I love learning more, and you brought that to Keyspire this year.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jessica.
Okay, the next guest here is wealth coach extraordinaire from Ontario, Connor Eagleson. Connor, tons of people have been dropping by the booth. What's the most common question you get when people drop by the booth to learn more about control and compound and the infinite banking concept?
I think one of the things that comes up most often, Darren, is people are just, why have I never heard of this before? You give them the little kind of high level of how this can work, and they're like, this sounds really cool, I'm interested, but why have I never heard of it before?
Yeah, I love that question. The people, I get that all the time, and if you think of it, banks can't sell this, so they're not going to talk about it, and the second thing is, our whole thing is giving real estate investors, business owners, and individuals control of your money. When you have control of your money, you can decide how to deploy it for opportunities and emergencies. But banks and financial institutions, they want to be in control of your money. Think your paycheck going in every 2 weeks, your RSP's there for 40 years, your RIF there for another 30 years. So they don't want you to have control. They want to be in control.
I know. I totally agree with that. And then the other thing that I always say to people too is it's a bit of a mindset shift as well, right? Taking back that control, not just following what the majority of people are doing. The people at these conferences, the real estate investors, the business owners, they're typically already kind of thinking those different ways than the majority. That's why, they're typically building wealth a little bit differently than the majority. So that bit of mindset shift of realizing how you can take back that control, once that kind of clicks for someone, it usually is one of those things where once you see it, you can't unsee it. They get pretty excited. They want to talk and learn more. So that kind of combination with what you mentioned about the control is one of the reasons, or one of the ways I try and explain that to people in terms of why everyone doesn't know about this.
Awesome. Thanks, Connor. Thanks for sitting down with me.
Hey everybody, we're back at the Keyspire Investor Summit. We're on day 3. We've had a great lineup of people coming and chatting with us at the podcast, and it's not going to stop now. Right now we have Viller from SingleKey here to chat with us today. Viller, what brings you to Keyspire? Thanks so much for joining in.
Thanks for having us, Christina. This is great. We're here at Keyspire really to kind of network with other industry professionals like you guys, but also to kind of like help landlords, help real estate investors really kind of make a safe investment in their property and really grow their portfolio. And we've got some great tools to really enable them to do that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you're a booth neighbor, so you're not too far away. I've been seeing
right
SingleKey, lots of people dropping in to learn a bit more about SingleKey and what it's all about. So it's kind of new to me too. What can you give us a little bit of background on SingleKey?
I absolutely. And you know what? We started this business about 5 years ago. It was right at the beginning of COVID, right? And at the time, we remember those difficult times during the lockdowns, during kind of the change in the environment. And it was a tough time for a lot of landlords. You had everybody fleeing the city. So like a lot of the big urban centers were seeing kind of rents dipping because people were moving out in the country or working from home basically, right? We saw rents come down. We saw occupancy drop as well, vacancy increasing. But more importantly, we saw a lot of people not getting their rent payments because of the eviction bans that we had in every province, right? Where, hey, you could go a year or two without paying your rent, and there's nothing you could do as an investor, as a landlord, to get that tenant out. So that's really where the light kind of like came on for us. The idea of like, hey, can we do something to really mitigate this issue and help secure that rental income for landlords, even if the tenants default and stop paying the rent? So that's really kind of how SingleKey got started and really kind of solidified as a great risk management option for a lot of day-to-day landlords and real estate investors.
Oh, that's amazing. And it's kind of the theme of today, and the Keyspire event really is they're talking a lot about how it's been a volatile market for real estate volatile, to some degree. But like you said, there's been a bit of that's gone on, and people are a little bit scared to get into real estate investing and things like that. So I've been asking the question to everybody, what would you say would be a safer opportunity or good opportunity for real estate investors to get into right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. As everyone everyone knows, like, there's really a few components to having a successful real estate investment. You've got to find the right property. You've got to find the right financing strategy. But more importantly, you also have to find the right tenant to basically be able to, make sure that you're getting a good yield out of that property. You're getting a good rental income. You're getting somebody that's safe, stable, and, dependable. And that's really the piece that we help with, is to make that component of it safer. And the challenge right now, even coming out of COVID and going back to normal times, if you're looking at, some cases where tenants aren't paying rent, or, for whatever reason, whether they're maliciously refusing to pay rent, or they, are affected by job loss or other reason, or financial hardship, the truth is that it's a 7 to 9 month legal process in Ontario to remove a tenant for non-payment of rent through the Landlord and Tenant Board, LTB. So that puts a ton of risk on investors, especially if they're just starting out. They've got 1 or 2 properties and they're very excited. They're very, keen to kind of get started and grow their portfolio. And lo and behold, you have a tenant now that's in your property for a year and it's not paying rent. Yeah. And it's costing you $30,000, $40,000, sometimes $50,000 in lost rental income, legal fees, and damages. That's catastrophic. So that's what we try to do. Is we basically we have a 3-step method to really allow these small landlords to secure the rental income that they need to cover their property expenses and mortgage payments. And the way we do it is very simple. First, we have Canada's #1 tenant screening app online. You can go in there and just send a link to your tenant to fill out our online rental application. And through that app, we run a full credit check through Equifax, through TransUnion, through Nova Credit. We give you all the financial information, debt kind of situation, affordability, income, employment references, all the data that you need to make a good decision on the tenant before you put them on their property. And good due diligence is very important to reducing risk.
Absolutely.
So that's always the first step. And then after that, we have a great free rent collection tool that automates rent collecting from your renter once they're approved. But it also reports those rent payments to the credit bureau. And in doing so, you're helping renters build credit, but more importantly, you're also incentivizing them to pay the rent on time, which is very important for the landlord. And then thirdly, we then also guarantee that rent through our rent guarantee program. So that's the last step. With a rent guarantee, what we're trying to do is really offset that risk of, in case you do get unlucky and you get that bad tenant there that's not paying rent, what we do is we're able to actually cover up to 12 months of lost rental income in case tenants default through this insurance policy. We're able to cover up to $10,000 of property damage in case of any property damage or vandalism on the side of the tenant. And then we even help with the legal process. So if a tenant refuses to leave and we need to take legal action, we will do that on your behalf. We'll hire a paralegal. We'll take the case to court. We'll get the tenant out of there, and we'll cover all the legal fees. And if it takes us 6, 7, 8 months to go through that legal process, we'll keep paying you the rent every month so you can still afford to pay your mortgage payments and not go insolvent. The challenge a lot of landlords, especially small investors, have is that they don't have the scale of the big guys to be able to take that kind of hit and lose $30,000, $40,000 on an investment property and still stay afloat. We had folks during COVID that ended up losing their properties because they weren't getting a rent check in 2 years, which is very sad. So we give them the ability to basically spread their risk over our large pool of portfolios or leases that we have on our rent guarantee program, where everybody chips in a small part of their rent. Usually about 5% of the monthly rent is our fee for the rent guarantee. And then we're there in the background in case they have a bad tenant that doesn't pay rent, and we're able to cover all their losses and expenses during that period.
That's pretty amazing. Like, you're taking the risk off the table, especially for somebody that wants to get in, especially getting into real estate. Like, that's a big risk for a lot of individuals.
That's really our niche. And you know what? I think we need more housing. We need more supply. We need more real estate investors to get in the game.
We need more real estate investors is what we need. So you can bring that to the table.
Well, exactly. And everybody's hearing those kind of like horror stories out there. And this is kind of one of the biggest challenges that a lot of real estate investors have. It's like, I don't want to deal with tenants. Well, the good news is that we have a great now support system for you to enable you to jump in, to take the plunge, and to do so in a safe way. And think of us almost as like, real estate investing on training wheels, because we're here to support you in case there's any issues with the tenants, whether it's mediation or legal action that needs to take place. We've got you covered.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing with me today. It was great to hear all about SingleKey and to see you at the conference.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Morning, everyone. I'm here with Simon Davis, the founder and CEO of Elite Aligned Coaching at the Keyspire Conference. Simon, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
So I want to hear from you, Simon. We're kind of asking different people at the conference here, with everything given in the current market, where do you see the opportunity, kind of a safe place that a real estate investor could, deploy or look to focus on to continue to grow beyond this conference?
Well, honestly, I'm not a real estate coach. I would actually probably put those people over to Keyspire. That's where you're going to get the better answer. I focus, in my niche is on personal development and mindset for the real estate investors that either are not buying any property because they have limiting beliefs, maybe poor habits, or the investor that's got 5 doors or maybe 10 doors that doesn't see themselves maybe as having 100, even though they want 100. I help them get over that hurdle. I'm more focused on the problem within the mind for real estate investors than I am actually focusing on the market itself. Now, I am a real estate investor and I do have a lot of properties as well, but I have real estate coaches as well. So I would actually put that question sort of on to Michael or Scott or one of their team members and stuff. And so, like I said, I focus more on the mindset stuff in the real estate sector.
That's awesome. I love that. That's like we talk about at Control and Compound, the 3 places we see wealthy people putting their money. Number 1 is at themselves, right? In themselves. And then our hierarchy kind of goes, business, real estate, they need a place to store it. We like to focus on that high cash value life insurance as a place to store capital before they go invest in those areas. But number 1 is always in yourself, right? So I love what you guys do at Elite Aligned Coaching. I guess one more question for you. Where do you see as that biggest kind of mental challenge or that block that the real estate investors you do work with, like what's kind of an actionable step that they can help overcome that number 1 block that you see people face?
You got to get a coach. I have 6 or 7 coaches. I have an accountability coach. I've got a real estate coach. I've got a finance coach. You got to have a mentor and coach that has got the results that you want, and so you can do what they did and get what they got. And like my very first coach said, you want what I have? Just do what I did and you'll get what I got. Most investors, and I was one of them actually, I bought all these real estate courses and I wasn't buying any real estate. Why? I had very poor mindset. And so when I took a mindset course, all of a sudden I started buying a ton, and I mean a lot of real estate. And people were watching me, what I was doing there. How are you doing this? Well, I originally started it, I had, I'd never done it before. So I had some worry, I had some doubt. Worry and doubt turned to fear. Now we're in a bad vibration in the body. We're a little scared. We haven't done this before. Fear turns to indecision. Should I? I'm not too sure. And we're like, I don't know. I'll put it off tomorrow. Well, procrastination is the number 1 dream killer. And that's what happens. People buy these courses, they end up procrastinating, and they never end up getting any real estate. And I did that for months and months. And some of the guys that I coached, they did it for years. And now they all have, $6, $10 million portfolios. In less than a year, they're retired. But there's 3 main things that I found. One is people don't have a goal. Now, if you don't have a goal, a defined goal, if I asked you right now and I said, hey, go for a drive, but I don't tell you where to go, where you're going, you have no destination, do you go left or right out of the driveway? You don't know. Most people are driving around in life aimlessly because they don't have a goal. You got to have, this is where I am, that's where I want to be, draw a direct line and start chopping it up and working towards that. But if you don't have a goal, you just say, I think I want this, you're not going to get them. 2, fear. Fear will just riddle people, and they'll just back away. They'll go back into the comfort zone. As an entrepreneur, anybody that's become successful knows you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
For sure.
I live in what's called the terror barrier. I'm in there feeling, because that's when I'm stretching, it's like, this is so uncomfortable. I've never done this before. You want to crawl out of your skin. But on the other side of that is success. Now, many times in the past, I would be like, this is scary, and I would just back off. Well, what results am I going to get if I back off? I just lost because I quit. Self-image is 3rd. Most people don't understand they have 2 self-images. The one we see ourselves in the mirror, and the second one is a subconscious self-image, and it's an inner self-image. Do I see myself as that successful full-time real estate investor driving the Lambo or whatever it may be? It doesn't have to be a Lambo, but you know what I mean. Do I actually believe, and most people don't actually believe they're actually worthy of living that life, and they've been told maybe, and I did, like my father and my grandfather had told us for years, we're just middle class, we're hard workers. So I got that belief stuck in my subconscious mind for years, and it took a coach, a mindset coach, to go, why not go be a multimillionaire? You can too. I'm like, well, but no, we're just middle. And then when I rewrote that, well, I became one. And people don't understand. They have this hidden thing going on, stopping them and they're not. They just don't have the knowledge of it because they don't know it exists. Yesterday, when I was sharing in my presentation, I said, "Who here knows?" There's 250 people.
Yeah.
Who here knows that you have two self-images? Not one hand went up, and I'm like, I'm going to blow your mind right now. We all have two. You have to understand that I can do that. I see myself doing that, even though I haven't done it. Most people are just acting like their current circumstances. Well, you're not going to be your future self by looking, just at what you've got. You're just going to get more of the same. You have to believe that you can do that, and then you have to go after it.
Yeah.
But if you don't believe you can do it, you're not going to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Simon. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that, our community is going to get a lot out of this too. So we'll definitely drop a link where they can get a hold of you if they're looking to learn more about the coaching side of this, because it's a huge piece.
Success is my mentor and coach of many people in personal development field. Success is 5% skill and strategy, 95. That's a big number. 95% what? Mindset. If you don't have any mindset training, you're operating at 5% most likely. Go get the 95%, whatever that 5%, whether it's banking, real estate, insurance, anything, you're going to crush it.
Yeah.
You're going to absolutely crush it, because that's where you're going to get rid of the limiting beliefs and all that stuff.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming by, Simon. Enjoy the rest of the Keyspire conference.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Talk to you soon.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
For sure.
Okay, I'm here with Jake Mitchell. It's Jake, right?
It is.
Okay, yeah,
It's Jake.
I remember naming you. Good. Okay, Jake, what was your biggest takeaway? We're just getting ready to wrap up here from the Keyspire Summit. What was your biggest takeaway? All the people you talked to this weekend.
Well, tons of people are here, all ages, new investors, senior investors. Biggest takeaway I have to say is invest in yourself. Doesn't matter. People are brand new to this. They're learning about real estate, learning about infinite banking. There are people here 50, 60, 70 years old still learning more. It just never ends. Keep investing in yourself.
Yeah, I love it. Doesn't matter how old you are. You always have something to learn. That's awesome. All right, Jake, time to go home, bud.
All right.
Well, that was an unbelievable weekend. I don't know where the time went, but we are on day 3 of the Keyspire Investor Summit. It has been amazing this far, but we're wrapping up around here. Our booths are getting a little bit slower, but Darren, I wanted to check in one last time and ask, how do you think the conference went? How'd it go for you?
Oh, it was awesome. It was so cool. We had so much fun. We met so many cool people. Being on that main stage after Shaq was pretty cool. Like, that was pretty cool. And yeah, he's tall. There's no getting around it. It was really, really neat to meet him. But oh my God, he was tall. But we actually met so many cool people. And Saturday I was on the main stage, and then I had another presentation on Sunday. And Sunday we actually word kind of spread that they liked control and compound and what we were talking about. So we actually had standing room only on Sunday for my presentation. So people were lined up in the hall trying to get in. So that was a really cool experience. But really, it goes back to the people and the connections we met. Like, so happy we came. Just incredible people. We learned a lot. We shared a lot of information with a lot of people. And yeah, excited for the weekend. Huge success.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing too. The connections that we made this weekend have been great. I know for those listening to the podcast, that was just only a handful of the people that we ran into this weekend and we met. I was pretty happy meeting Shaq. I looked pretty short in that picture, so that was pretty cool for me meeting Shaq. Scott McGillivray, got to meet him too and speak to him. So it's been an incredible experience. I can't believe it's over. I am a little tired. I'm not going to lie though. It's been a whirlwind.
Yeah, it was really
awesome.
cool. You interviewing with Scott McGillivray was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm still on that presenter high.
Yes, well, it was
usually
amazing.
a couple hours after the conference ends, the adrenaline comes out. But what the last thing I want to say is, what I loved about it is we always saw Christina about, you need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in self. You need to invest in your business. And these just aren't things we tell people. These are things we do ourselves. So we talk about investing in yourself, investing in your business, investing in real estate. Well, we both invested in ourselves by coming here and learning a lot. We invested in our business by, flying a whole team up here, to be part of it, to grow our business. And we learned a lot more about how to invest in real estate. So, we're surrounded by people that were doing the same thing, investing in themselves and learning how to be better investors in real estate. So it was just nice to be around like-minded people who are willing to put that effort in to learn new things. Like infinite banking, for a lot of people, it's new. Like real estate is new to some people, but they're willing to invest that time and effort, because investing in yourself is going to be the greatest return. And I think we proved that this weekend.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it from the Keyspire Summit. Have a great day. Thanks for watching this episode of Control and Compound. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you never miss a new episode. And if you're ready to learn more, head to our website, controlandcompound.com. The link's below.